my name is Marcus Gardner with www.adreamforabetterworld.com. This is the first video in the series called Working with Basic Fractions. In this video series, we will cover the addition and subtraction of fractions divided into four parts. First, adding, subtracting fractions with a common denominator, as in 3/8 plus 1/8. Second, adding, subtracting fractions where one denominator is a multiple of the other, like 1/4 plus 3/8. Third, adding, subtracting a fraction with an integer, like 2 minus 3/8. And fourth, adding two fractions where there is nothing in common between the two denominators, like 5/7 minus 1/8. This is what most fractions will be like in real life. Then we will cover the multiplication and division of fractions like 1/2 times 3/4 and 1/2 divided by 3/4. And finally we will put it all together by showing you how to do problems where you have combinations of addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division like 1/2 minus 1/2 divided by 3/4. Now, before we begin, it is very important that you have the copy of the free workbook that goes with this series. So if you do not have the workbook, please stop this video and download it from www.adreamforabetterworld.com. It is free, so why not get your copy? It is necessary that you read and understand the vocabulary section of that workbook before watching these videos. This video does have prerequisites. You must know how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide numbers. You will need to know the vocabulary in the workbook, and finally you should know how to get the prime factorization of a number. Just a refresher, that means taking a number like 100 and rewriting it as 2 times 2 times 5 times 5. If you can do all of that, then you are ready for this video. The workbook will help you a lot after you watch this video. So let's begin. This video will only cover fractions with the same denominator, like 3/8 plus 1/8 or 1/16 minus 5/16. So, what do you do when you have two fractions with the same denominator? How do you add or subtract them? Take this problem for example, 1/16 minus 5/16. How do we subtract them? Easy. All you do is subtract the numerators and keep the denominator the same. So here we have 1 minus 5 over 16. See how the denominator stayed the same? All we did was work on the numerator. So 1 minus 5 gives us -4 divided by 16. Then we can divide top and bottom from 4. This finally results in -1/4. Hold the phone. How did you do that last part? How did you go from -4/16 to -1/4? There are a few ways to do that last part. One, know that 4 will divide both the numerator and denominator. So we simplify it by dividing the numerator and denominator by 4, getting our final answer, -1/4. 2, realizing that they are both even, so we can divide the numerator and denominator by 2. Then you can see that -2/8 can also be divided by 2 again. The third way is to write both the numerator and the denominator into prime factors. So here the 4 is 2 times 2, and 16 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Then we can see that we can cancel out 2 2's from both the numerator and the denominator. I bet you are asking yourself, why would you ever do that? It is too much work. Yes, for a problem like that, I agree. Just figure out what number to divide by and do it. But what about 294 over 504? How easy is it for you to reduce this using your way? Let's write those two numbers 294 and 504 as a product of primes. 294 is 2 times 3 times 7 times 7, and 504 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 7. If we can do that, you can easily see that a 2, 3, and 7 cancels from both the numerator and the denominator. So we end up with 7/12. The problem is deciding how much work it would take to reduce 294 divided by 504 by thinking, what is the greatest common divisor of 294 and 504? I think it is too hard. If we just get the prime factorization, then we can easily reduce it. The goal of the worksheets is to get you used to the idea of writing numbers as the product of primes so that you can tackle any fraction, no matter how big. That does not mean you should always do it that way. Just like in the real world, one solution does not fit all. So my goal is to show you different methods and let you try them and see what works for you. Let's try another type of problem, adding and subtracting two mixed fractions. So let's look at 2 1/5 plus 3 1/5. There are two basic ways to solve this problem. One way is to add the integer parts together and the fraction parts together. So here the integer parts are 2 and 3. So adding them we get 5. Then we add the fraction parts together and you get 1/5 plus 1/5, which is 2/5. So we get 5 and 2/5. The second way is to change the integer numbers into fractions. So we change 2 into 10/5 and a 3 into 15/5. Now we just have a lot of fractions to add, which all have the same denominator. So we add the 10, the 1, the 15, and the other one, and we get 27/5. This, of course, is the same thing as 5 and 2/5. Now let's stop here for a moment and talk about which way is the best way to express your answer. Should you express your answer as 27/5 or 5 and 2/5? Generally, when you are done with a problem, your teacher would prefer it as a mixed fraction, 5 and 2/5. However, if you have more work to do with that fraction, leave it as an improper fraction, as it is easier to work with than a mixed fraction. Take this example for instance. Let's say you are adding 4/5 to 3/5, then subtracting 9/5. Let's also assume you like to work with two fractions at a time. We add the 4/5 and the 3/5 and get 7/5. Now we have to subtract the 9/5 from that answer. Do you think it is easier to subtract the 9/5 from 7/5 or from 1 and 2/5? Without a doubt, it is easier to work with the improper fraction. So then we get 7 minus 9 divided by 5, which gives us -2/5 for our final answer. Okay, I think you know enough to tackle the first section of problems on the workbook. Remember, no cheating. You will learn nothing if you look at the answers before you try the problems. Only look at the answers after you are done. Note, all answers in the back of the workbook are written out step by step. Once you have finished those problems, then you are ready to try the second video, adding two fractions where one denominator is a multiple of the other, like 1/4 plus 3/8. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please tell others about it. If you have any comments, you may send them to me at comments@adreamforabetterworld.com. While it is free, I do hope you will consider making a donation to us so we can continue to keep making more of these videos. Please make your donation by using PayPal and using our email address donation@adreamforabetterworld.com. To use PayPal, just visit www.paypal.com. It is a free and safe service to send money. Thank you for watching.